Welcome back to the realm, lords and ladies. I am the Goat King, and today I want to talk about keeping combat interesting, not only in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, but in all the systems we play in the tabletop community. A problem that I've seen in our community, regardless of what games are being played, has been when fights end up repeating themselves, when players start using the same strategies again and again and again. When each enemy is like the last, just a little stronger, that's a big problem. It kills a game. It does. There have been people who've quit whole systems because of it, believing that it may have been a problem with the system, or that it was less of a problem with a different system, because it causes the players to create a playbook, a set of actions that they will do every time because they know it'll work, and they know if they do it differently, the results will probably be worse. They might have to spend more resources, they might lose more money, they might very well lose the fight and have to run or maybe die. And they don't want that. So they create their playbook because they know it will work, and then they follow through with that. A note I would like to emphasize: it's been said that players, and not just of tabletop but of video games as well, will optimize the fun out of the game. They will find the best way to do it, and then they will do it every time. And in a way, that's true. But in part, I disagree with the way it is phrased. I do not believe that we are optimizing the fun out of the game. I believe that optimizing in itself is fun. But if it only happens once, if it only happens the first time you play, or once when you level up and get new abilities, well, the rest of the time you're not having fun. Optimizing needs to be a continuous changing of strategy when you find yourself in a new situation and you try to derive the best solution for it. That's optimizing. Finding solutions for problems. And that is something we all have fun doing. That is why we want to do these fights. So the goals that we would have for any solution to this problem: first, that fights feel different, both mechanically and in roleplay. It's very important that we not be rehashing the same fights over and over again. Second, each fight should have a solution. There should be a way you can go about this fight that is better than other ways, and it should be different from the other fights. Essentially making each fight a puzzle that fits together differently than the previous one. Allowing the players to go into each fight with the understanding that they will need to adapt and overcome. Which is the third goal, is that the players need to be thinking on the fly, thinking about what they have and what they can do, how they can work together to overcome the challenge. So we want to keep them thinking, and we want to keep them making decisions in combat. The solutions to this are multivariable, but first, we want to use different types of enemies. Sometimes zombies, sometimes vampires, sometimes angels, sometimes demons. Things that play differently and have different weaknesses associated with them and different flavors associated with them. There'll be times when we want to use beasts and times when we want to use aberrations. And you can mix those up. Just because you're in a forest doesn't mean you're going to fight a beast. Especially if you want to create a story around the forest, bring in an aberration, or an angel, or a demon. If it is important to you, in a specific area of your campaign, say in a specific dungeon or an enemy encampment or an army that is going to have many fights, 2, 3, 4 fights, you still need to vary your enemies. As an example, a zombie army. You want it to all be undead, all be zombies, and if you use the monsters specifically that are already tiled as zombies in the bestiaries or whatever systems monster manuals, you might find that you have them all being very similar enemies, and then you end up where the fights that you have are all identical. And we don't want identical fights. The solution is to take monsters that aren't zombies and zombify them. There are zombie humans, there are zombie hulks, zombie dragons. Why can't there be a zombie beholder? A zombie purple worm? Or many lower level monsters. Zombie kobolds. In which case, you take a few traits from what zombies normally have, and you apply them to this existing monster, essentially making a new monster that you can use to help vary your combats. The next tool we have in our toolbox are movement types. It's probably no surprise that if you rarely throw flying enemies at your players, several of them, or maybe most of them, won't have ranged options. Casters excluded, many of your fighters, your rogues, your barbarians, even your rangers, might not have bothered to have ranged implements. Everyone they fight, they can walk up to and attack, so why would they? Making creatures that can fly, or leap, or climb, or swim, and putting them in environments where these abilities are useful allows you to change up the face of combat quickly. Especially fly is one of the best examples here. When there aren't a lot of ranged options, the ones who do have ranged suddenly become the damage dealers. And now, those without range need to apply their abilities in different ways, apply their skills, and prepare for when they can make a difference, or aid their allies in order to help them. And if you consistently do things like this, your players will adapt to it, and they will have options for ranged attacks, even if they are mostly melee-based character. They'll be able to pull out a sling and a handful of stones. One of the next tools in the toolbox is breaking up the map. The justification for why you do this can be anywhere from being in a dungeon, which is the classic, or in a tree, battling a giant spider. But the gist is that you want to carve pieces out of the map, be it gaps that the players cannot easily cross but can still fire ranged attacks through, to walls that fully block crossing and ranged attacks and spells, to difficult terrain that favors specific directions of movement, to hidden traps that have your players wondering if it is really safe to charge across the battlefield at full speed. These things change the way your party is going to approach a situation. If your party typically tends to swarm single enemies, this is going to prevent that, and it's going to force them to use their skills and abilities differently. If you can't get across the map quickly or efficiently, it's going to be very hard for all the players to circle up and get flanking. And this becomes especially true if the monster is aware of the traps, immune to the difficult terrain, or capable of flying or leaping to get over gaps. This keeps the combat dynamic, with the enemy consistently moving and the players consistently moving to keep up with it. Your players may use spells and abilities that they wouldn't normally use. Things like Tanglefoot, Hold Person, or something that causes paralysis. These are all useful things in a situation like this, where in a flat map, in a small room, they don't really matter. Why would you use Tanglefoot on an enemy that can't get away? It's a waste, and most people won't. But once the enemy can move around, then it becomes important. Next in our toolbox are monster abilities, immunities, weaknesses, and resistances. Monster abilities, like being able to grapple from a range or turn invisible, require the players use new strategies to solve. Weaknesses, resistances, and immunities may require your players to use weapons they wouldn't normally use, diversify the weapons they already have, or take a different tact. If they personally can't do a lot of damage, they may need to help one of their fellows. Doing things like intimidating, tripping, and grappling to help their fellows is one way they can solve these puzzles, one way they can optimize and have fun while doing it. And finally, the last and perhaps most important tool I can offer you is alternate win conditions. Far too often, the win condition is kill the monster. If your win condition is always killing the monster, then you're always going to emphasize certain abilities and strengths more than others. Use other win conditions. Win conditions like a time limit on how long you have in order to fight a monster. In this case, you might actually reduce the challenge rating of your monster by 1 in order to allow the players to be able to defeat it in a quick time, and yet that time limit will still make it challenging. Or having a stronger monster that they must survive for a long enough time before they're allowed to escape. Win conditions where you need the enemy alive so that you can get information from them. Encounters that are stealth-based, where it's more important to not be seen than it is to fight, to kill, or escape. It is more important to make it by undetected. Give us fights where we need to collect an item or even plant an item. Give us encounters we have to prevent the enemy from gathering a resource, where it doesn't matter how many you kill, you need to stop them from completing a project. All of this said, a question may come to mind: when shouldn't a fight be unique? Should every fight really be this completely new scenario? The short answer to that is every fight should be unique and a new scenario. The long answer to that is yes, every fight should be unique and meaningful, because if it isn't, it shouldn't be in the game. It shouldn't happen. Every fight should go towards telling a story and presenting a challenge, and if it doesn't do that, it shouldn't be part of the game. 1. The only example I can imagine where you wouldn't want a fight to necessarily be unique is if the players have already attempted the encounter and failed and had to retreat and regroup. You don't want to change it. You don't necessarily want to change it after that, because they're probably going to take their time to prepare and be ready for the fight. And if you change it, then that time is wasted. And it will feel like their loss was for nothing. If they lose and they regroup and they come in better prepared and they win, that first loss won't feel like a loss. It'll feel like a learning experience. The second fight that they win will be all the more victorious because of it. But admittedly, that's the only time I can think of where I wouldn't want a fight to be wholly unique. But please, if you have comments or critiques and suggestions, leave it in the comments down below, or you can come to our Discord and leave it there for us all to read and share and learn more from. Thank you again for visiting the realm. I'm the Goat King, and come back again next week for more Pathfinder and Starfinder.